Your opinions of today's program are noted.
Too much talking, 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 too much talking.
You're listening to The Rob Dibble Show.
Too much talking. Not enough with our next guest, Brendan Burke. He is the head coach, general manager of the Hartford Athletic. And, Coach, how nice is it to just basically bring back the core of a really good team from last year?
Yeah, I think it was hugely important to come back and have 10 familiar faces in the building. That stability is just going to grow and grow each year now. And, I think we got most of those guys right. I think so far, not a great performance in Lexington, but I thought a very solid performance in Pittsburgh. I don't know that I've ever gone there and had one of my teams outshoot them in Pittsburgh. We just didn't have our finishing boots on. Quite frankly, we weren't hitting the target. But of those guys that returned, so many of them are playing a key role while we try to get some of our new additions fully healthy and into the lineup.
Talking to head coach Brendan Burke, also general manager of the Hartford Athletic. They are taking on the Locomotive. First home match here in Hartford this Saturday. Get it all over yourself. Fun season. I love being a part of the supporter groups, love getting loud over there. And everybody that I ever bring to a Hartford Athletic game gets hooked right away. So this weekend is the best way to get your season started. Let's talk about some of these returners. A couple of guys that to us supporters are just go by one name, and that is Michi and Mamadou. And both of these guys, it feels like huge to get them back, especially in the goal scoring category for the season when it progresses. But the captain, man, Jordan Scarlett, talk about how important it is to have this guy back on the pitch.
Yeah. So I'll start with Jordan. I mean, both Jordan and I would mention Marlon Harrison too. Marley is those two guys coming back fully fit at the end of preseason. We didn't have them until late in the year last year, until about midway through. So to have them rolling right from the beginning is really going to help this group gel quickly. Just two vastly experienced veteran guys, great competitors, that leave it on the field every time they play. So it's kind of contagious for the younger ones. And you mentioned Mo and Michi. Those guys, contributed the vast majority of our goals last year. Mo didn't start playing just mostly because of his age until a few games into the season. And, Michi, by his standards, probably had a little bit of an off year last year. So I'm expecting a lot more from both of those guys going right from the start this year, too.
You also have signed a bunch of new players, including new goalkeeper Anthony, Siaha? Did I pronounce that right?
Yep.
So he was second. Second in saves last year in the USL. Talk about that. I mean, you got to have great goaltending if you're going to win games.
You do. If you want to keep clean sheets, and we almost kept one in Pittsburgh. We pushed it to the 75th minute last weekend, and that's a tough place to go play. Anto he's very, very athletic for a guy that size. I mean, he's every bit of 6'5", and he moves really well. His kicking is strong. So he just gives you, confidence to be a little more aggressive defending around the box, because he can come out and claim things and, eat up crosses and not just be stopping shots, but really helping to support our back four in a big way.
Talk about the newer, some of the other new guys. I love how you're the general manager as well. We talked about this last year, how you are taken from Parcells' playbook as being the chef and actually picking out the ingredients at the grocery store as well. Some more of those ingredients we got thrown at us. Ask about defender Sebastian Anderson, and I've seen that he has some Colorado ties. So knowing that you have Colorado ties, I'm sure that's how you know this guy.
It is, yeah. I had him on loan with Colorado Springs. He made his pro debut at 16 for the Colorado Rapids in MLS, and I had him on loan for 2 different stints while I was in Colorado Springs, and he was a starter at a very young age for us in the team that went to the Western Conference Final my second year there. So I trust the kid. And I think he trusts me. He's very, very intelligent, clean on the ball, great service, still only 22 years old. So I think his ceiling is still sky high. But it's just nice to have a 6-year pro at right back who's still only 22 years old. That's a pretty rare combination of experience and youth.
Hey, let's go back to him for a second. In baseball, 16 years old, man, we're kind of frowning on that at the pro level. What's it like for a 16-year-old around a bunch of grown men, could barely drive a car, probably hasn't even graduated high school? How do you get acclimated your first couple of years when you're coming into the league at that age?
Well, it's interesting, and I had a lot of kids in Philly, too, when I was coaching their second team or an assistant on the first team there that we brought through as teenagers. And, I think part of that process is just respecting, the environment and respecting the older players. And he was smart enough to keep his eyes wide open and listen and, always looking for feedback and always – he's actually a pretty funny guy, too, if you get a chance to talk to him. He's got a good sense of humor, and so I think he just endeared himself to everyone in the environment pretty early on. And once those guys take you under your wing, under their wing, you're in really good shape because you're part of the crew, you're part of the unit, and they're going to do everything they can to help you figure it out. And I think Seb did a really good job of that.
Hartford Athletic kicking off their home schedule. El Paso Locomotive in the house Saturday. It's a 2 o'clock kickoff at Trinity Health Stadium in downtown Hartford. We were talking to you about this off the air because everybody on this show knows, or listeners of this show knows, I am a kicker hater in the game of football Norte Americana. And I always say, Coach, man, you can find a football kicker at a soccer field near you. They are a dime a dozen. Now, you have coached one of the best kickers in the NFL, and it's one of Dibbs's favorite because he's a Cowboys fan. I'm talking about Brandon Aubrey, the really successful kicker for the Dallas Cowboys. And I said to you, man, I think I can find a Brandon Aubrey everywhere on an USL or an MLS team here in America. Am I right about that, or what are some of the things for that cat Aubrey that makes him a little bit different, that makes him stand out as a kicker in the NFL?
Yeah, I don't know. It's been amazing to watch his rise, right? Because we looked at him out of Notre Dame. He went to Toronto FC, I believe, before we brought him down to Philly and Bethlehem. And, he was a kind of a first-round type of draft pick coming into MLS, and didn't quite work out for him for one reason or another, but he was a really focused kid, kind of quiet. Definitely always respectful, but what he was a big kid. You don't realize how big some of these guys are. Brandon's probably 6'3", 6'4", and, he's well put together. So you could tell when he hit a ball, when he connected, when he was with us, people were getting out of the way.
Well, and take us back to that. How do you go from soccer to football and get that good? A little bit different, and trying to straighten the ball out like that, get it elevated, things like that. Obviously, this guy's one of the most talented kickers in the NFL right now.
Yeah, it's so specialized, right? I think that it's one of those unique things in sports where his interaction with the ball is only a couple seconds long, and he only has to do it a few times a game. So I think if you have a guy that is really willing to put the time and energy and the concentration level into, honing the trade, and the physical part was already there. I wasn't with him through any of that transition into football, but it's actually a really curious one for me too, because you turn pro in one sport and end up in another. There aren't a ton of guys out there that have that capability.
Unreal to see. I'm telling you, they're all over the place, NFL teams. You just need to look at a soccer field and you'll find them. El Paso coming in.
I'll tell you what, those soccer players would be a lot richer if they were kicking for the Cowboys.
Exactly. I think you're thinking of getting into it. That's why you want to figure it out. All right, El Paso coming in Saturday. We are a powder keg waiting to score. I just feel like Hartford Athletic is going to break out in this game in particular, get some home cooking, get some of those local fans, those screaming crazy supporters against this El Paso locomotive. But teach us about the enemy here. What's the scouting report on El Paso coming in on Saturday?
Yeah, they're good, but we do get our goals at home. You know, we got 3 in our first round Open Cup game, and we have another Open Cup game coming next weekend. But right now, all the focus is on El Paso, and, you know, their coach, Wilmer Cabrera, and I have coached against each other for probably over a decade at this point. And, you know, they're a very intricate team. They're clean on the ball. They have a lot of guys that can get out and run in transition, and a couple good finishers. They've had, you know, full volleys, overhead kicks, like all sorts of spectacular goals already. So these guys just came off a 4-4 game and ended up losing 1-0 last weekend, but they could have scored 4 more times. So I think they're really dangerous, and if we defend well, I am confident that we're going to find that breakthrough going the other way. And, you know, if we can defend the way we did against Pittsburgh, I think we'll be in really good shape.
Are you a Red Sox fan?
I am.
Yeah, you happy about opening day?
He's a Massachusetts.
Grew up watching Mike Greenwell and Jody Reed and all those guys.
Oh, nice. Very nice.
Yep.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, good luck this
TV
year.
38, man.
Yeah, we got a lot of Red Sox fans in this, you know, where we work. So guys we work with. So good luck to you, man, and good luck with the Hartford Athletic, man. We love having you on, and we'll have a lot of your players on during the season. They're fabulous, by the way. So we really appreciate it, man. Good luck.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah. Thanks for the support too. We'll see you on Saturday.